So it's really interesting. Usually with pro wrestling news, you kind of get an idea of what's going to happen at some point, and usually with Impact Wrestling, it's a little bit different. It usually comes out of nowhere, and you somewhat get these rumors of Impact Wrestling being for sale, and Impact Wrestling being bought out by ROH or WWE or whatever the case may be. But honestly, today's news is super incredibly random. So I want to take a little bit of time today. I thought this would be the perfect time to do episode 1 of Destination Pro Wrestling Radio, which is basically audio only, uploaded on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, whatever. And I think this would be a good time to kind of talk about pro wrestling news, and that's the thing that we're going to do here. Destination Pro Wrestling, of course, carries a lot of content, and a lot of it is towards, pro wrestling. So whether it's 2K or Supercard or whatever it may be, I feel like with these kind of videos, nobody really wants to see my face anyways. It could get kind of annoying looking at somebody just talking to a camera. So these videos are a little bit longer than normal, but this is to have people kind of sit back, relax, and if you're driving to work, drive safely and just listen to the podcast or radio or whatever you want to call it. So, this news is pretty crazy. This came out from Dave Meltzer in the New Observer, and basically it's come out that Dave says that people within Impact were trying to sell their company or gauge interest in a sale to not WWE. I want to laugh when I hear that, because normally you think it's WWE, but in this situation, it looks like Impact is trying to sell to All Elite Wrestling. And if you can hear me laughing underneath my breath, it is because I actually am. I don't know why this is even a thing. I mean, All Elite Wrestling isn't even official yet at this point. Nobody knows for certain that it's 1,000% a real thing until they officially announce it, which they are teasing some sort of announcement within a few days. And, this is probably a whole conversation for another episode or another upload. But for those who don't know, All Elite Wrestling on Twitter, it's been taken, and it is in fact following some of the largest arenas in the United States. So if this is real stuff, if All Elite Wrestling is a real thing, and they're following these venues, it almost makes me really interesting. It makes me feel very interested in what they're possibly going to be able to do, especially, with just a few months away. I would say possibly a TV deal or live shows, whatever it may be. Wow. So, the idea is that Impact Wrestling was trying to sell to All Elite Wrestling, and I don't know why this is even a thing. And as you can imagine, according to Meltzer, according to the Wrestling Observer, for those who are tuned into that sort of thing, word has come out that obviously Cody and the Young Bucks had rejected any sort of offer. Now, this is really interesting because at this time, right now, we know Impact Wrestling is moving TV networks. And some people would say this is a huge step backwards for the company. And I could definitely understand. I could definitely understand that. I could definitely see what's going on. To me, it makes a lot of sense. Pursuit Channel is not one that is particularly famous. It's not one that's popular. It's not one that is. It's not one that has a lot of hit television shows. In fact, I'll be honest, this is a bad move for Impact. And they've been having such great programming for the entire year. I've been monetarily supporting Impact Wrestling in regards to their pay-per-views. I've been buying their pay-per-views, and I've even had pay-per-view parties with other wrestling fans who wanted to give Impact a shot. And they've done a really good job. So when you see a move to Pursuit Network, it almost makes you feel like it's a huge step backward and you're not really sure. And on top of that, now we're receiving the news that Impact Wrestling is trying to sell to a wrestling company that technically does not exist. So what is really going on with Impact Wrestling? Like, what is actually happening here? I really don't know if I have the words for this, because I personally think that, Impact Wrestling has been doing a great job with their product, but some of these business decisions really don't make sense. And I'm hearing a lot of things about Anthem. And Anthem is the company that owns Impact. And I'm hearing a lot of people, more specifically through social media, talk about how Impact Wrestling is a great company, or a great product to watch, but the people backing them, again, is the issue. And we kind of saw this issue with Dixie Carter. And honestly, I thought under this ownership, things were obviously starting to improve this past year, especially when you have Don Callis and Scott D'Amore. They're taking control now. So it's really interesting to see what's going on here. I don't know if it's a financial thing. And honestly, for all we know, this stuff could be highly inaccurate, but one has to really think something is going on. And for Impact to go to Pursuit Channel, Don Callis has kind of come out and said, listen, this is going to be a major move. This is going to be a move so specific, so significant to the company and to the channel, because they're going to provide some edgier and sexier content to live TV. Obviously, Impact is pre-taped. It looks like they're not changing that model. The only thing that they tend to do live are these pay-per-views, which they're going to have another one in January in Nashville. So they are traveling for their pay-per-views, which is great. But All Elite Wrestling, they turned it down. According to reports, All Elite Wrestling have turned it down. Now, if you want to think back to the old days, Cody Rhodes was on Impact for a brief time after his WWE release. The Young Bucks also were in Impact or TNA as Generation Me, which eventually they were released. So this is a really huge turn of events for Anthem trying to sell Impact to All Elite Wrestling. Now, let's talk about it, right? What kind of advantages would All Elite Wrestling have with a company like Impact? Well, you probably throw away the name. Honestly, you probably don't even care about the tape library, so you probably sell it to WWE for the WWE network. And then I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's any value. I think that roster is huge. I think that roster is great. But you don't really need to buy the company to do cross promotion. I mean, as you guys have seen with Impact Wrestling, working with AAA, Lucha Underground, even some ROH guys we've seen, back and forth between programs. It just makes you really think that there is a scenario where maybe Impact Wrestling could do some cross promotion with All Elite Wrestling. Now, I don't know if this is something that All Elite Wrestling is interested in, because obviously, if these guys are really starting a wrestling promotion, I feel like one of the challenges they're going to have is obviously money. You're going to start losing money right away. It's not easy being a pro wrestling company. We've kind of seen this with NXT. It's come out before that NXT operates at a loss, but WWE doesn't care about that. When you're a company like WWE, so many years of experience in this wrestling industry, being a top dog, you can afford that. When you're a new pro wrestling company, you don't get that same luxury. So if you're All Elite Wrestling, the hardest challenge they're going to have is finding talent. Now, whether or not Impact works with All Elite Wrestling is entirely up to them, but whether or not they have any of their superstars exclusively signed to Impact, I don't think people really know just yet. Now, obviously, we know some of the talent on Impact is showing up in other indie promotions. We know some of them cross, between AAA and Lucha Underground, and that specifically seems to be like a thing in the past. But then what's really interesting is you got Pentagon, who is also on Major League Wrestling. So it's almost like Impact has their stars everywhere. Is this a situation where they're going to start competing with AEW? Now, from what I've read and from what I've heard, it sounds like, AEW, if it is in fact real, it sounds like there is some big billionaires backing this. Now, if you take that and put two and two together based on who they're following on Twitter, it almost sounds like AEW is going straight to compete with WWE. And they may not be looking to compete with ROH or Impact. And that's what's really, really interesting. Now, obviously, behind the scenes, I feel like more people will know what's going on. And I think when they do know what's going on, I think it will all come to fruition soon. So the guys that, left Impact, didn't do big things for Impact, were just offered the opportunity to buy Impact. And if you guys don't know the influence that the Young Bucks and Cody have, guys, you guys should start paying attention, because they have a huge influence. An influence that I think cannot be measured right now. Now, with that being said, we'll see how AEW competes against the other wrestling brands. And of course, when we find out more about All Elite Wrestling, we will produce a updated version and we will refer to this video, and we'll see what actually happens. But Impact Wrestling is not being bought out by AEW, but it makes you wonder, what is Impact Wrestling going to do? And, are they looking for a sale? And is anybody interested? At this point, if you guys are tired of hearing about Impact being sold to another company, let us know what you think. We are available on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, all these little different, podcast hosts and stuff like that, iTunes. So make sure you guys leave some feedback, leave a 5-star review. Thank you guys for listening to Destination Pro Wrestling. I'm your boy Tony. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Tango. Tell me what you guys think. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click that subscribe button. WWE 2K, Supercard, and pro wrestling news discussion, and a whole bunch more. Let us know what you guys think, and we'll see you soon.